All right, I'm gonna make a quick little video so you guys can learn something that we came across. Some of you guys might know, some of you guys might not, but for those of you guys that don't know, this CRV was running good, and then all of a sudden it just took a crap, and then brought it back in, and we couldn't figure it out. It was a crank no start, or it would start, and then and a long time ago, make it short, a long time ago, my brother installed this engine on his car, and for some reason, my middle brother Sam, he installed the ECT sensor wrong on my brother's car. The car would take forever to start. It was a crank no start kind of thing, and then all of a sudden it would just start. So the engine came out, and we pulled it in. We put it into the CRV. I'm gonna show you guys really quick. This is the ECT sensor. It goes right underneath the distributor. I'll show you guys where in a regular engine. It goes right here, right underneath the distributor. So this sensor, I'm gonna show you guys what it does with it and what it does without it, and then you guys can judge from there, or so you guys can hear it run. Okay, so right now it has the bad sensor connected, and this is what it did. Okay, ahí está bien. That's all it did. So he was confusing the crap out of us. And because this engine was running good in my brother's car, it came with that sensor. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I figured it out. We replaced the map sensor. We replaced it's like a fuel pressure regulator that goes on this side, and then the actual fuel pressure regulator that goes on this side. Nothing. Spark plugs, because he floods the spark plugs a lot. Nothing. And it was crazy because this engine did start it good in my brother's car. But the other thing is that my brother's car is tuned. So his car is tuned, and I think that's why it starts good on his car. But I knew for a fact, because one of my brothers, when they installed that engine, they misplaced that sensor. They misplaced it with the idle air control valve. You guys know that has a 12 volt, and they plugged it into that sensor, so it burned that sensor. So I'm gonna show you guys how I figured it out. A while back, I picked this up at a Harbor Freight. It's a Surridge CR13. It's a scanner, but the only thing I liked about it has a live data. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna connect to LD, which is live data. If you guys know how to use them, good. But this is how I figured it out. So the way I figured it out, I have the ignition switch on, obviously, is I came in here, and this thing, live data, it's telling you everything. And if you guys can see the ECT sensor right there, it's saying it's negative 26 degrees Fahrenheit, obviously. The ECT is reading way too cold. So what's happening is the injectors think, the ECU thinks the engine is cold. Obviously, you guys know when it starts, it's like the old school cars. It's thinking it needs a lot of fuel, right? So right now the injectors are opening to the max. That's why the engine is flooding quick. There you guys, it's 26, 27. When I first tried it, it was at negative 28. And we're not. And the reason I figured it out is we're gonna go down and we're gonna look the map sensor, engine RPM, vehicle speed. There you guys see the intake air temperature sensor is 41. So with that being said, they're not matching. The TPS, there it is. You guys can see when I floor it, it goes to 89%. So everything seems to be working fine, but the ECT. So I already replaced it with a good one that we had there. I'm gonna go ahead and replace it, and you guys are gonna see. I'm gonna go ahead and replace it, and you guys are gonna see how it's gonna change and how it's gonna start right away. All right, so there you guys go. I went ahead and plugged the right sensor. It was already on the head, obviously, but I went ahead and plugged it, and now you guys can see it reads 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and this thing starts right up. There you guys go. The only reason it didn't start it right, it was because the plugs were already flooded from the previous sensor. If that's what the issue was, is that it floods them right away. It's thinking that the engine's so cold for some reason, I don't know, but it's just a bad sensor. I remember when my brother's car was struggling, I went and I looked at it, and one of my other brothers had plugged the idle air control valve. He misplaced them or did the wrong plugs, and I think that burned that sensor. He shot 12 volts to it, and he burned it right away. And but yeah, I hope you guys can learn that. This little tool, I mean, it will diagnose it. You can see the live data, and it'll tell you exactly how your sensors are working. And this thing was only like $70, I believe.